Did you go to Nelson Mandela's court case? Is that correct?
I did, yes. As a matter of fact, I did go to Nelson Mandela's court case when I was a schoolboy. I was very interested in what was going on, and I was 12, it's grade 12. And I had a bicycle, and it was not near, it was 4 or 5 kilometers from where I lived. And then I was able to go there, and in the middle of Victoria, at the synagogue, of all places, the old synagogue. And he had been, among others, so it was just not just him, but it was interesting to follow these trials. And he'd been found guilty of murdering women and children, and by putting bombs down, which brought down power lines and which subsequently maimed and killed women and children, and he was sentenced to death. And that was then, I don't believe in that and myself, but anyway, the thing is, he was that was commuted. But when it was commuted, the people were crying in the streets because those who'd lost their children and wives and things, they wanted him hanged. Anyway, they didn't, and I thank heavens, because he turned out to be a sort of inspirational guy. But yeah, that's true.
Did you ever think that he would have been president 30 years later?
No, I mean, that would have been absurd. You know, later on, he would have been not young. He was quite a bit older than me. So he would have been, where I would have been 16, he would have been about 32 or 33. So he was just a young black man, as far as I was concerned. And he wasn't the only one. There were quite a few people, and some white men as well that were involved in those trials at the synagogue. So it was not just about him. And he wasn't like so well known or anything, if you know what I mean. He had what the difference with him was that he was always smiling. He had a big grin, which was quite, charming or something, I might say. He was very charming, charming sort of smile to everybody. And but if you talk about people that were well known, like later on, not many years later, when I was at university, maybe I would say 4 years later, I shared a building, a room with Steve Biko, who was also a well-known black activist, who was actually killed by the security police, I think. They tortured him to death. But I shared a room with him for 2 weeks at a seminar, because I used to be part of the National Union of South African Students, aimed at trying to put an end to apartheid, That was the idea. Mm-hmm. So I did know a few of these sort of guys, Macmar Raj, Neville Coleman, Neville Curtis. I knew all of those guys. Yeah.
It's still going on today. I'm a good friends with Tommy Robinson in the UK, and he's in solitary confinement, the way they're treating him and what he spoke out against. That why would you not support someone who's trying to protect kids? Why would you not support someone who wants a better country, who wants better a system put in place? Like I say, he's serving 2 years. I think, Elon, your son's forking out for his legal fees now.
Yes.
Do you know about Tommy?
Oh, yes. No, he's definitely, Elon is paying for Tommy's legal fees. No, when I saw this, I was asked on several occasions on television, last year even, and I said to people, I used the same thing with Mandela. I said, what you're doing with Tommy is you've sort of put him in solitary confinement for his views and all that sort of stuff. This is the kind of thing, although I started off with Tommy, that he shouldn't be there. He should be allowed to lead the people who want, and the many people follow him, because a lot of things he's saying are completely true and accurate. There's nothing you can fault this guy, and he's not a terrorist. He's not somebody looking to damage anything. He wants to fix things. And then people said, oh no. And then I actually came up with this. I said, you may not realize it, but that for you, this Tommy is just unspeakable, especially because of the class structure in England. Tommy's not this, lordy-door, from Lord so-and-so's, type of thing. They love that kind of thing, Yeah,
he's not one of them.
No, he's not one of them. He's a normal person. And it's not far-fetched to think, I said on television probably on Great Britain TV or Talk TV or something. I said that Tommy could well one day be the Prime Minister of England. And they were like, oh, what the hell, are you mad to say that, to suggest such a crazy thing? I said, well, if you had told the people in 1963 at the Rivonia trials that this man who's Nelson Mandela, who was guilty of the murder of women and children, many women and children, and of all races, and particularly white children and women, that he's one day going to be the president of South Africa, people would have hounded you away. They wouldn't have done anything to you because they would have presumed you're a lunatic. They would have presumed you have no brain or something. You're brainless, you know. And in the same way, you're doing that now when I say one day Tommy Robinson, and I still say that. It's very likely that Tommy Robinson, when things start doing the movements that they do, it's very likely that Tommy Robinson is the future Prime Minister of England. Yeah, very likely.
Because there's not many
I put my money on it.
Yeah, there's not many people who can get a rally on the streets with over 100,000 people, and he does that. And like I say, I hope he comes out safe and people just listen. All we want to do is politicians to listen to the people's voice. Yes. People now in the UK are getting 2 years in prison for a Facebook post.
Well, yes, and they look for any possible reason to exaggerate that. But what's happened with the ordinary people who get into politics and get elected, they soon realize that if they say anything or suggest anything, they're going to be in trouble. But if they keep quiet, keep their little mouths quiet, you know, these are little men in grey suits, like even Farage and all of these people, that it will be all right for them. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. And they'll go along and they'll get their monthly parliamentary salary and so on and so forth. And so that's why I said later, you know, one day just before Christmas, last Christmas, I was interviewed here by one of the things, Talk TV, or it could have been Great Britain TV or something. And I said that Farage is not the person that you need for England by any means. He's not strong enough. And I said, Tommy Robinson is. Who is? I said, oh, well, Tommy Robinson. I said, he's the right man. He's a potential. But Farage, no, Farage is, I want to fit in it. You know, I want to fit in it. I don't want to cause any trouble, you know.
Another puppet.
Yes, and they said to me, I'm crazy. 2 days later, without me even having any communication with Elon put out a thing saying he's cutting all support to reform because Farage, in his opinion, has there's nothing there to support. So Farage is, you know, he's dead. He's been dead in the water for a long time. The trouble is that in England, you know, it's a very traditional society, so it takes time. And, you know, I would have thought that by now the number of embarrassments and you know, mistakes that this Henry Starmer is, I think his real name is Henry Starmer or something. They call him Keir Starmer, you know, it makes it sound better. If it has made, I would have thought he would have been gone by now, because he's made so many, and yet because of the way England works, he's still sitting there. In most other countries, Starmer, having turned his back on the rape gangs and all that sort of stuff, and all the information that's come out about that, and all the stuff that's come out recently, and plus the other things that he's, you know, tried to enact, would have been gone long ago in most countries. But in England, because it's a country which tries to stick to the rules, or whatever you want to say, he's still in power. I would have thought he would have been out by the end of February, and I recently thought he would be out by the end of April. Mm-hmm. It looks like now he'll very likely be out by the end of May.